Alright, what's up guys, it's Spiderwolf back for another JJKPhantomparade video. So today we're going to be going over the brand new Shoko. Now this video is coming out a little bit late, so she's already in the game, but we're still going to go over her. But before we get started, I'd greatly appreciate it if you drop a like, comment, subscribe. It would really help me out. You can get 1,000 subscribers before the end of the year. But with that being said, let's get into this. So yeah, we have this brand new Shoko who's already in the game. You know, like I said, sadly I wasn't able to record this a little bit later than I usually do, so sorry about that guys. But if you guys did summon, honestly, I wouldn't blame you. She is really good, so we'll go into a little bit more as to why she's actually pretty good character. And hey, honestly, might not be a bad character to actually use her summons on, because she's actually a very good character. Now I wouldn't go too crazy. Personally, I wouldn't go past the 200 summons or whatever for the pity, for the to exchange for tickets. I wouldn't go past that. But if you want, like I said, if you want to do some summons, I wouldn't blame you. I think she's a pretty good character. Anyways, of course, we got a brand new event here. We have a lottery event. And basically you get this new free-to-play recollection bit, which honestly isn't that good, but we'll go into why that is. As well as, during the event, Shoko herself, and then the recollection bit on her banner is going to be rate boosted, as well as any yellow characters will also be boosted in this event as well. And most likely there's going to be a free 10 roll for us, but since it's a lottery, it's going to take a little while to get to that final box there unless you get a little lucky. But going into, with that being said, we're going to head into the tier list here, so see where Shoko is. So she's actually double S tier support character. Basically up there with some of the greats here, like Yaga, Ssr Yaga, Megumi here with Incomplete Domain, Momo, some other really good characters, right? So let's see, what does she do, right? So she's yellow, right? She's yellow. She does have some physical and some jutsu, a lot more jutsu though. So skill 1 here, sample retrieval at level 1, deals 120 physical damage to one enemy and decreases own damage received by 10% for 3 turns. Okay, that's pretty good. So a little bit of SAR ability. And then at level 10, you're dealing now 180 physical damage, and now you're reducing your damage by 15 instead of 10. So an extra 5, so it's not too bad, I suppose. Very decent. Now skill 2 here, reverse curse technique, costs 10 curse energy at level 1, recovers the selected ally's HP by 35% of Jutsu, so you want to have a lot of Jutsu on her for that. And decreases the value of 2 of the selected allied eligible debuffs by 30%, prioritizes the most recent debuffs, and then deals damage when used on a cursed spirit. Interesting, okay. And then at level 10, now she's healing 60% of her Jujutsu stat, and then that's pretty much about it on that part. So it is interesting that she does have also decreases the value of 2 of the selected allies eligible debuffs by 30%. So basically, I'm gonna assume the way this works is, say an enemy applies a debuff to one ally, right? Or two different debuffs on that allies, and then basically those debuffs are reduces Jujutsu and physical by 30%, right? This will remove that by 30%. If it's say 50, then it'll move 30, so then there'll still be a 20% reduction. So instead of reducing 50% Jutsu, they would now be reducing 20%. So something like that basically is how it works. And then if it's if your allies have more debuffs, right? Basically, whichever was just recently applied to your teammate is going to be the one that's going to be removed first. So if say you got to play with 3 different debuffs, right? And the last one was reduces Jutsu damage or something, right? That will be taken off first, and then the one after that will be taken off. So that's pretty much how that works. And the fact that it costs 10 curse energy isn't too bad, and you do get a decent, pretty good amount of healing from this. So that's very nice. Very general. I'm not gonna lie. This is a very general skill. It's just generally good. You basically get healing, and your debuffs get removed, or not removed, but decreased by a certain amount. So kind of sucks it doesn't remove the debuffs, but at least reducing it by a certain amount is at least something. Now, skill 3 here, intelligence sharing, costs 20 curse energy at level 1, increases the selected enemy's damage received by 10% for 2 turns, and increases all allies' physical and jutsu stat by 31 for 3 turns. Sadly though, it is only for yellow though, but that's still quite a significant buff. Now at level 10, we're looking at 15% damage received, increasing the 15% of increasing the enemy's damage received for 2 turns. And then you're also increasing your the allies' physical and jutsu stat now by 62% for 2 turns, which is a lot crazier. And the fact that it's 3 turns makes it really, really good. But of course, the caveat is it's only for yellow characters, which is kind of sucks. At level 8, it's going to be 13 increased damage received to enemies, and then 55 physical and jutsu to all allies. So that's still really good regardless, right? And then for skill 2, level 8, it's 54 healing, which is still also really good. But yeah, that does kind of suck though, a little bit that she's a little bit restrictive. I mean, I'm still, you know, at least you can give the enemies increased damage received by, you know, a max of 15%. Though at the same time, a little bit low for just general stuff. But the big kicker from the skill that makes it really, really good, of course, is buffing the stats of your allies by 62% if they are yellow, right? If they're yellow. Now, the ultimate here, I can take them apart as I please, right? Level 1, now she's dealing 680 in physical damage to one enemy, increases all allies damage dealt by 30% for 2 turns, and increases all allies ultimate skill gauge charging rate by 20% for 2 turns. That is also very, very good. At level 10, we're looking at 1000 damage, physical damage to one enemy, 45 damage dealt to all allies, and 30% ultimate skill gauge charger rate. So very, very good. At level 8, it's going to be 940 damage, physical damage, 41 increased damage dealt for all allies buff, and then 27% ultimate skill gauge charge rate. So it's still really, really good. Yeah, ultimate's actually very strong. You're getting a very fat buff here for everybody, so it doesn't matter what color, so that's very nice. And you're also helping everybody get their ultimate you know, up a lot quicker, so that's also very, very cool. But yeah, honestly, so from what I'm seeing, pretty good stuff. And just like passives here, so auto skill, she does have one. Holding operation. If an ally's HP is 40% or below at the start of the turn, except herself, recovers all allies' HP by 30%, deals damage when used on a cursed spirit. So yeah, if there's any cursed spirits, you know, they'll take damage instead, right? That amount, most likely. And then decreases the value of one of the allies' eligible debuffs by 30%, prioritizes the most recent debuff up to 3 times during battle. Okay, that's pretty cool. So basically, if anybody gets to 40% or below HP, she'll heal everybody by 30%, and she'll also have the gimmick of reducing their one of their debuffs by 30%, just like her other skill here, but it's automatic, and she can only do this up to 3 times. So keep that in mind. So honestly, very, very good. Basically, a little bit of a safety heal if anybody gets really, really low, and then also has a chance to help them survive better with the whole reducing the debuff by 30%. Also, combo ultimate here, basically, she gives herself and the ally 20 cursed energy, and then she just does damage and then fills everybody ultimate gauge. And that's pretty much about it for Shoko here. So yeah, like, you know, she's not a DPS character, so it makes sense she's not going to be doing a lot of damage. Though, to be fair, 1000 on the ultimate, it's kind of crazy, like a little bit, kind of crazy, a little bit. But yeah, basically, you know, since she's a support character, her main thing is buffing, debuffing, and since she's Shoko, also healing. So you get a lot of that here. You know, you get one for healing here, removing debuffs or reducing the debuff effect. You get skill 3 here, which is basically making the enemy take more damage and then making your allies do more damage if they're yellow. And then the ultimate's basically just general, like, oh yeah, big damage, buffing all allies, and then also buffing their charge rate to help them get their ultimates a lot faster. And then skill 1 is kind of whatever, is basically just a little bit of survivability to help her, you know, take less damage for 3 turns. So that's kind of decent, but something you're not really going to need to worry about too often unless you're doing challenging content. But yeah, honestly, pretty cool character. Not gonna lie, I thought she was going to be a little bit more broken in terms of, like, I thought she was going to do like extra stuff, but at the same time, still seems like a really good character. I'll probably summon for her. If we go back to the tier list stuff, you guys all want him for yellow characters. You know, we got Yaga here, is also really, really good. So if you had him on the team, you could make that work. We have yellow Gojo here, Team Gojo from hidden inventory, so he'd benefit from this. So Itadori, so you know, there's some good options here for the yellow team. We also have yellow Nabara, who's down here in S tier, the yellow Nanami. So you know, you have different options here that you could run for the yellow team that you know, you can make it work out, and you know, it'd be really, really good. But with that being said, let's go into the recollection bits. So, or the recollection bits. So we have 2. We have one from the banner and one from the event. They are both in B tier, and they are both defensive, so you know, not that crazy. You don't really need to worry about them. But you know, you might as well get the one from farming the event, right? To get your free 10 rolls. So here's the one from the event. It is 50-50, and basically when you do any ultimate or skill, increase own damage received by 20% for 2 turns one time, and then you fill your own ultimate skill gauge by 100 right here. And then if you have one dip to it, at the start of the 4th turn from the start of battle, increases own damage dealt by 10% for 2 turns one time, up to 1 time during battle. That kind of fucking sucks, not gonna lie. Why is it only that 10% and only 1 time? That's crazy. And the fact that it's also only 1 time during battle is actually insane to me. So yeah, not that great. And then if you have it at 3 dibs, basically decrease your own damage received by 25% for 2 turns one time, so you get hit you know, once and then it's gone. And then you fill your ultimate skill gauge up by 100. So I guess the only thing that's really good about this is filling up your ultimate skill gauge, and then everything else is kind of lackluster. Now, Here's the one from the banner, you know, the ones Gojo here, Souvenir Pondering. It is also 50-50. So when you do any skill or ultimate, decrease owned physical damage received by 55% for 2 turns 1 time. Very interesting, it has a similar mechanic to the event recollection bit there. And if you have 1 dupe to it, if owned HP is 50% or less at the start of the turn, grants evasion state to self for 3 turns 2 times up to 1 time during battle. Okay, that kind of sucks. If it was like just the first part here, or if your HP drops below 50%, then you get the evasion for 3 turns. That would have been really, really good. But the fact that it's like limited to 2 turns or 2 times, and the fact that it's also limited to 1 time during battle is kind of cringe in my opinion. If you do have it 3 dips into it, you're decreasing your own physical damage received by 60% now for 2 turns and 1 time. So yeah, really not that good unless you're fighting like a boss that's really annoying and does a lot of physical damage. And I guess this might be kind of decent for that if you're you're running this on a support character. But other than that, kind of a whatever recollection bit. This is definitely like very very situational, very situational. But yeah, hope that this video helps you guys out. I'm very sorry about this video coming out late, but it is what it is. But at the same time, luckily the character is actually very good. So if you guys did summon for her, hopefully you guys got her, because she's a good character overall. But at the same time, if you want to skip her, I don't think it's a bad idea, since we are a couple of months away from reaching global 1st anniversary, which is going to have 3 really strong hitters. A new Shoko, who's really good, basically doing the same thing as this Shoko here, but a better job. But I think that one's also limited to green teams a little bit. Another really good green DPS with the Heaven Awaken Gojo, whatever, I forgot the other name that it was called. We kind of like the thing that happened with him after Toge, and he went up in the air, that shit basically. And then also Nanami, who's also another really good character. I just don't know if he's a support character or like a debuffer or something like that. I don't really know. But I just have heard he's really good. So 3 really good characters coming out in a couple of months here. So at the same time, if you wanted to save, wouldn't be a bad idea either. Honestly, probably better, even if this character is actually quite good. But with that being said, I'm gonna head on out. Like I said, I hope this video helps you guys out, and hope your summons went well. With that being said, as I was saying, I'm gonna head out. I'm a little bit tired, guys. But yeah, peace and take care, everybody.